Welcome to Nerd Narrates, where I pick the best stories from the internet and share them with you. Let's begin the video. When I first met my SIL, she made a weird face and told me that I looked older than my age. It was a hurtful comment, especially when it was our first meeting, but I kept it cool since I was not up for any drama. I knew then and there that me and my SIL were not going to get along. I'm not a very social person, and that means that I do not spend much time with people I do not know much about. As my SIL had already given a red flag, I was sure to avoid her. She kept telling my husband that I ignored her and did not give her importance, but that did not bother me at all because I rarely change my mind. When my husband announced to his family that we had decided to get married, my SIL could not digest that. She told my husband that I did not look good with him and he could find much better women than me. My husband had given her a shut-up call, but she kept poisoning my MIL against me. She was a nice lady, of course. She would listen to her daughter more than anyone else. As the wedding preparation started, my SIL surprisingly okay and was excited to take part in the preparations. One day at a family gathering, she announced that she was going to plan our wedding. My husband stepped in and told everyone that he was not going to let her plan anything, but she could plan the younger brother's wedding if he was okay with it. My SIL stood up and told my husband that she was not going to attend our wedding and stormed off furious. My in-laws called my husband and told him that my SIL was actually not attending as she had not bought anything and was constantly saying that she only had one brother and that was the younger one. My husband went to talk to her, but she turned aggressive and told him that he was doing all that because he was obsessed with me and could not even see his own family. She also said that I did not even deserve to get married to him as I was already creating problems among them. She also told him to dump me and promised that she would find someone better than me for him. My husband, of course, was furious and told her that she was not even invited to the wedding after all that. My in-laws then apologized and requested my husband to allow my SIL in our wedding as everyone was going to ask about her. My husband told them that it was her last warning and that if she did not behave herself, he was going to kick her out right away. We got married and my SIL was ruder than ever. I did not invite her over much, but she would accompany my MIL whenever she came to see us. My SIL would comment on everything and wanted to know every detail of our personal life. She once asked if we were planning to have kids, to which I told her that it was our personal matter and she had no right to ask about that. She said that the women who are unable to conceive give such lame excuses. I was enraged but did not say anything and acted like I did not hear what she had said. Well, we were blessed with a baby boy a year later, and my SIL had already planned to ruin the day. She came to the hospital to see the baby, and asked my husband if she could collect the blood sample. We were, of course, surprised, and my husband asked her why she wanted any, to which she replied that she was going to get a DNA test done. My husband asked her if she had lost her mind, but she was calm as hell and asked him how he was so sure that the baby was his. My husband told her that he was going to drag her out of the hospital if she did not disappear right away. So now, my BIL, husband's brother, is getting married and my SIL has taken over the planning. We were discussing the preparations at my in-laws' place when my SIL told everyone that her best friend's son was going to be the flower boy at the wedding. My MIL told her that we already had a flower boy, my son, who is 3 years old now, so she did not need to decide for anyone else. I was glad that my MIL had taken a stand, but a few days later, my SIL announced that there was not going to be any flower boy at the wedding as it looked old-fashioned and cheap. I called her and told her that the only thing at the wedding that was going to be old-fashioned and cheap was her, so she should replace herself first. She has, of course, created a scene, but I'm not taking my words back. AITA? Update 1. My husband told me that I should not have talked to her like that and he could have handled it by himself. I told him it was her who started it, and she had been hating on my son for no reason at all since the day he was born. My husband told me that my in-laws were upset as they did not expect that from me. I said that I was done and could not take any more from my SIL. I told him that I could talk to my MIL and apologize, but I was not going to see my SIL. We went to my in-laws' place and I apologized to my MIL and told her that I didn't mean to create any trouble too close to the wedding. She told me that it was alright and she had no hard feelings for me. That was when my SIL came out of her room and told me to get out of the house. My MIL yelled at her and told her to go back to her room, but she started crying. She said that she only called the tradition cheap, but I was so full of myself that I targeted her. I just said that she had to stop hating my son and leave with my husband. Update 2. My SIL called my husband and told him that I was not invited to their younger brother's wedding and that if he could attend without me, he was welcome. Otherwise, he could miss the event too. My husband told her that it was their brother's wedding and she was no one to ban us from the wedding as it was not her wedding. She said that their younger brother was also willing to ban me from the wedding and hung up. My husband called my MIL and asked her what was going on, but she was clueless. My husband told her everything that my SIL had said. My MIL replied that my SIL was just being crazy, and if she did not give up on behaving like that, she was going to get banned from the wedding. My MIL arranged a dinner the following weekend so we could get together and clear things out. She told my SIL that she had to apologize or she was not going to attend the wedding. My SIL argued for a bit and then she realized that there was no other way. She apologized to me and my husband. I also told her that I was furious and did not mean what I'd called her. My MIL said that my son was going to be the flower boy and no one was allowed to fight over the wedding preparations. My SIL seemed pissed but was quiet, and that meant that she had given up. Update 3. It was my BIL's wedding and we were at the venue all set and waiting for the bride. My son stood suited, booted with a cute little bow when a young girl spilled the glass of wine on his shirt. I took him to the restroom while my husband rushed to fetch a new shirt. My MIL went for the bride to tell her that we needed a few minutes. My husband came back with a new suit from the nearest market for our son, and I got him changed right away. When we came back from the restroom, my SIL's best friend's son was holding the flower basket and was waiting for the bride. I went to the kid and told him very politely that the basket belonged to my son. My SIL came up and told us that we were late and the flower boy was now her best friend's son. I told her that I was not going to let her do that and tried to take the basket from the kid. My SIL went for the mic and told everyone that I was so desperate that I was fighting with a little kid just to see my son as a flower boy. She went on and said that they had decided that my son was going to be the flower boy, but as he had just puked a while ago all over his clothes, she had to replace him with her best friend's son. I was shocked and could not move. My husband was going for her when she said that she was not even sure if my son was her brother's child or someone else's, as I had begged her not to make me take a DNA test. While my husband was snatching the mic from her, I called the cops because I was done. When the cops arrived, I told them that a stranger had trespassed and messed up the event. My MIL confirmed it to the cops, so they arrested my SIL and left. My SIL had to miss the wedding she had planned for months. After we were done with the day, I went to the police station to file the defamation case against my SIL as she had humiliated me in front of all the guests. My husband and MIL supported me through the case and made sure to stay by my side. I apologized to my BIL and his wife as their day was almost ruined because of my SIL's mindless games and grudges. My MIL had told my SIL that she could not stay with her and had to move out as she was problematic and my MIL did not want any drama after that. My SIL was fined a good amount for trespassing as well as defaming and also had to move out of MIL's house again. She was on a warning and could get jail terms if she tried to do anything like that again. We were relieved, to be honest, and I guess she needed to be treated like that. NTA. OP could have taken an action long before all this, as the SIL was acting like a pain in the A from day one. Kudos to the supportive husband and the MIL, who could see that SIL was just ruthless and could not accept OP. Suing her was the best option, as she was not going to leave them alone. I hope she gets some senses knocked into her head now. NTA. OP's SIL was so irritating and a drama queen. When OP said that her SIL seemed like she had given up, I knew she was up to something and would never let go. Why do I feel like the girl who spilled wine on OP's son was sent by the SIL? It seems like she had planned everything before, but was not expecting an arrest. She deserved what he had gotten in the end. Next story. Background. My 36M wife, Elise, 32F, is 37 weeks pregnant with a boy. The pregnancy has been rough for her, and she's been on bed rest for the past 2 months. But we are still excited for our first child together. We've had a lot happen over the past year. First house, new jobs in our career fields, a new dog, new car, marriage, etc. And this baby has been the icing on the cake for us. My brother Kirk, 34, and his wife Jill, 30F, have just lost their home for a lack of payment. Jill is a SAHM to their daughter, 5, and Kirk's job is cut down to 4 days a week, so money has been tight for them. Kirk asked if they could stay with us for a few months. I knew about them losing their house a couple of weeks ago, so that part wasn't a surprise, but I didn't know they had nowhere to go. We have a decent-sized family. We have 2 older sisters, 38 and 40, and Kirk's twin, 34, all married. I asked why he couldn't stay with them. He said the 2 oldest couldn't accommodate them as they both live in 2-bedroom apartments, and our brother lives with our parents, both 67, over 1,000 miles away in a 2-bedroom townhome. Kirk pointed out that Elise and I have a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house, meaning there's enough room for them to have 2 rooms, and we can have the other 2. Plus, we live in a good school district for my niece, and we're only 20 minutes from their house, so my niece can still see her friends. I was hesitant and said I'd ask Elise and get back to him. Elise said no. She said that since it's our first child, she wants us to have time to bond with our child and be a family. She also intends to breastfeed and wants privacy. She said she's already nervous about giving birth, she wants a natural one, and does not want the stress of an entire family in her space. Her house. I'm not gonna lie, I agreed. I told Kirk what we decided. Yes, I said we, and he got mad at me, reminding me that when I took a year off college for my depression, he let me stay with him for 6 months. I told him that was different because I paid him rent, $350 a month, and neither of us had a wife or children. I said my wife is pregnant, and she needs time to relax after having the baby. Kirk, unbeknownst to me, had me on speaker, and Jill commented that Elise and I were being self-centered and that they have nowhere to go if we didn't help them. But I said we can't right now because we have to think of our son first and Elise's health after giving birth. I asked Jill if she would have wanted to host a family at their house immediately after giving birth, and then the phone hung up. This was last night. Our eldest sister Hannah called me soon after to convince me to change my mind, saying that we can still bond with 3 additional people in the house, and this may come back to bite me in the future, but I still said no. Honestly, I'm starting to feel bad, but I still don't agree with Elise. AITA? NTA. When I was with my ex-husband and had my first child, we were staying with his family to save money. It was rough, yes. It was nice to have family there to help at times, But I still felt like I couldn't just relax with my new baby, and bonding was difficult. Comments about everything I was doing, how I was doing it, etc. was stressful. You are right to support your wife, and I know you should help your family, but your family now needs to have priority. I also assumed that losing their house didn't come out of the blue, and it was their responsibility to find a place to stay, not yours. You're right, it wasn't out of the blue. They'd been living paycheck to paycheck for several months. I knew for a while they lost the house. I just didn't know they had nowhere to go. I'm not exactly sure what the plan was before he asked me, but he told me he had a place to stay. I just didn't know where, so I'm guessing it fell through. I don't know much about Jill's family. She has an older sister, but I don't know anything about her living situation. Next story. I, 30s F, have a small family of 3. It's just me, my husband Dustin, 30s M, and our son Danny, early teens M. Dustin and Danny are slobs for a lack of better words. It usually takes me 4 hours a day after work to get the house straightened back up, laundry, dishes, and dinner done. I'm sick of it. I do this daily with not a damn bit of help. I've talked to them, begged them, set chore charts, yelled, hid electronics, hid the Wi-Fi router, tried grounding, and not a single thing got through to them. I'm exhausted and quite frankly fed up. A week ago, I started refusing to do more than they do on anything. They want a clean space, they better clean it. They want clean clothes, they can wash them. They want food, they can cook it. Neither noticed until yesterday when neither had clean clothes and you could barely walk through the house. Honestly, I'm completely disgusted and I've almost given in, especially during the fight yesterday. Danny was throwing a fit that he couldn't find something, and Dustin lost it on me, calling me an awful wife and mother. Dustin yelled that I didn't have to take it this far, and I should have just talked to them. I yelled back that I've tried so many different ways to get them to pitch in, and nothing works, so I'm done. I'm not doing anything that they won't. Dustin took Danny and went to his mother's, saying he wouldn't be back. Now the house was clean, and if it wasn't clean in a few days, he was calling CPS and divorcing me. I told him to have fun being his mother's problem. I now have my MIL calling me, saying this wasn't a healthy environment for Danny, and I was a B word. Danny came home and started cleaning the moment he walked in the door, and crying that he didn't want us to get divorced. But Dustin is refusing to talk to me and has his mom constantly calling to chew me out. AITA? Girl, I hate to say it, but I'd leave his ass. He ran to his mommy? WTF? He's a grown man, and instead of helping you, he threatened you with CPS and a divorce? I would tell him to stay with his mother. Seems like maybe your son is learning. That's awesome, don't let up. He needs to be a better man than his father is. He'll most likely be a husband someday, and he hopefully won't act the way your husband did. NTA.